Hello, I'm Brenda Lawrence, the mayor of the city of Southfield, and welcome to Today's Woman. And we are on location today in the great, renowned Sweet Lorraine's in the city of Southfield. Today I want to welcome two great women that I am very excited about who are restaurant owners here in the city of Southfield. I would like to say hello to Bonnie Fishman, who is the owner and operator of Patisserie, Bonnie's Patisserie.
Right.
And also to the owner and operator of Sweet Lorraine Platman.
Thank you.
Okay. We're going today talk about the experiences that are common to these two women in the restaurant business. And as you know, as mayor, one of the things that I have really used as a platform that restaurants are part of our quality of life in the city of Southfield, and that restaurants provide the opportunity for families to have dining and also to take care of our busy schedules to supplement the cooking in the kitchen, which we have challenges with at times. So welcome, ladies. I want to go first to you, Bonnie. Please tell me about the name of your company.
Well, I was in the food business for some time in the mid-'70s, and so people knew my name, Bonnie Fishman. And then I went to cooking school in Europe. And when I came back, on my way back, flying back, I decided to create the business that I've created today. And I wanted to use my name, and quite frankly, I wanted to use Bonnie's Bakery, just because of the alliteration, and it was nice flow, easy to spell. But somebody already had used that for a brand of bread, so I was unable to use that legally. So I chose Patisserie because I felt the name Patisserie, which means pastry shop, encompassed more than just a bakery. But I have found over the years that this was not a good choice. I'm not sorry about using my name, my personal name, but Patisserie has been absolutely impossible for people to spell and pronounce. And more importantly, we are way more than a bakery, and quite frankly, we serve more food and prepare more savory foods, meals, than pastries, and I can't seem to shake that image with patisserie attached to the Bonnies.
Okay.
So that's how it happened.
Okay. How long have you been in business?
Just starting my 25th year.
And you're located where?
We're on Northwestern Highway in a wonderful little Cape Cod house north of 12 Mile on the west side of the street. And it's really like an oasis in a very busy part of Northwestern. All of Northwestern is so filled with businesses and office buildings and retail, and we're tucked away. We have a stream running next to the building. People could sit out on our patio for lunch. So it's very refreshing. And most people's reactions are, "I didn't know you were here." When did you open? When did you open? And I say 1980. They think I'm new in the neighborhood when they discover us. So,
Sweet Lorraine. Lorraine, please tell us about how long you've been here. How'd you pick your name?
Well, I've been here at this location in Southfield for this year's our 20th year, so we're old timers here in the Southfield. The name came about because I was doing desserts for restaurants out of my home. I worked in an art gallery in Royal Oak at the time, and people said they loved my desserts and shouldn't I sell them. So I went around, I got a little card made up, and we came up with the name Sweet Lorraine's because my parents used to listen to Nat King Cole singing Sweet Lorraine. And it was just something I was brought up with. The English love jazz, they love Nat King Cole, and that's how my name came about. So Sweet Lorraine's was applicable because I was selling desserts as well as the fact that I'm sweet. No. So, all right, no, that's not true. So Sweet Lorraine's, it was called, my business was called Sweet Lorraine's Specialties and Products. And I went around to the back of restaurants, knocked on the door, and sold my desserts.
That's wonderful.
And didn't know what I was going to get into, even then.
Why did you choose your careers?
I always liked to cook as a child, and my father owned a summer camp for children up north. And I'm one of many sisters and female cousins, so we would work in the kitchen after the season when they would rent the camp out when I was a young teenager. So I had a chance to have the experience, and I just seemed to tag around the chef a lot. So during high school and college, I would take culinary jobs because that's all I knew and I really liked. And before I graduated U of M, I decided that this was the path I wanted to go on. So, and forward.
Mine's a little different in the sense that I did love to cook. I remember my big thing was I was a Girl Scout and went down to, I think it was Detroit Edison, had a thing where they showed us how to use all their electric equipment, and how to cook. So, and we did macaroni beef skillet and mixed frozen vegetables we cooked, and upside down cake. And I came home and I cooked it for the whole neighborhood. I mean, everybody would come over and I would cook these dishes. And everyone said, "Wow, you're good at this." And I went on to London Broil from there. And
Yeah, that was the immediate
That was a big deal.
So you know what? I just love to cook.
Yeah.
I just kept cooking and
for us to
cooking,
do,
and
right?
and yeah. And I went away to college, and when I got my own dorm room, I had my parents up, and I made some yeast pastry for them, and empanadas. I love global food. I mean, that's what at Sweet Lorraine's I pursue is global. And I found this recipe for empanadas, which is a South American pastry, and I made them for my parents, and they were going, "Wow, Lorraine, we didn't know you could do this," and I really not stopped. And then my husband and I were very, very poor, lived in Detroit in a flat, and I learned how to bone out a chicken and things like
Right.
that to get more for the 19 cents a pound chicken that we were getting. I mean, this was important. It sounds funny nowadays, but I did. We didn't have the money, and we were going to school, and I just learned how to do homemade food because it was cheaper than buying,
Much cheaper.
processed
So many
foods.
people don't realize. Really.
Well, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and talk to these fabulous women again. And again, we're on location live in Sweet Lorraine. We'll be right back.
Breast cancer doesn't just affect women. This year, nearly 40,000 women will die. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation has awarded $40 million in research grants. Please help us make a difference. Visit us at bcrfcure.org or call 1-866-FIND-A-CURE.
Songbirds we enjoy each summer, winter in the rainforests. Right now, many are losing their homes. The Arbor Day Foundation's Rainforest Rescue is making a difference. Go to arborday.org, see how to support rainforest rescue, and find out which trees to plant where you live, so our songbirds have a home in the summer and the winter too. Go to arborday.org now.
Welcome back to Today's Woman, live in location here at Sweet Lorraine's, and joining me is Sweet Lorraine, and Bonnie from Bonnie Patisseries. 25 years in business, 20 years in business.
At this location.
The restaurant business is not an easy one. We've seen them come and go. What keeps your customers coming back? Let's start with you, Lorraine.
Being beyond the trends, keeping up with the trends, making people feel comfortable, listening to what they have to say, listening to what they want. Food has changed a lot in the 20 years I've been in Southfield. People were looking for healthy food 20 years ago. They were exercising, wanted low fat. Now, we went to mashed potatoes with cream and butter in it, and now we're at the Atkins. So, I mean, it keeps on going, and we listen, and I think make people feel very comfortable.
I will echo that. I think that why so many people come to my store is because they feel like they're going to somebody's home for lunch. I've had the same staff for many of these years.
That's excellent.
And we continually serve a product that is consistently good. And we haven't cut any corners. We haven't compromised in our preparation or the ingredients that we purchase. So they can count on us. The dependability, the quality, the friendly service. We know everybody's face or name. It's sort of like a Cheers bar, but we're serving food instead of alcohol. And I really think that's what keeps people coming back.
I know this is a difficult question, but try if you can. Give me a typical challenging day in the restaurant business. Bonnie, give me that day that you made it through and you said, wow, I'm really good. What was that day like?
Well, unlike Lorraine, we don't have a restaurant where people are served like you see with all the tables and chairs here. It's more of a catering business. So the ebb and the flow of the day is different than the restaurant business where you have your customer sitting there, bunched up around lunch and dinner waiting to be fed. Our most hectic days center around, we do off-premise catering where we go to customers' homes and offices. And my favorite and most challenging day is a day where we might have 2 events in a day, plus our regular retail customers, and we're scurrying around organizing the whole thing like a scavenger hunt, getting all the pieces of the event together and taking it on the road. The second crew comes in to take it out, and everything falls into place. And the party is a huge success. And it's like being on Broadway each time. You get the little jitters before the event happens, and you get instant results because food is immediate. As you do with
Are you
customers.
still involved in every aspect of that?
I usually
you need to
don't.
roll up your sleeve to clear the table.
Oh yeah,
You still do that?
I'm a very hands-on person, but I love to do it. It's probably not the best business decision to be, still being the one to order stuff and put stuff away and greet the customers and all that. But it's that hands-on involvement that keeps me going all these years. And every day is sort of different from the day before. It has a pattern, but it's a little different. So I think it wards off the burnout.
I have a saying, just personally as a consumer, you can buy food anywhere, but you can't get good service anywhere. So
I think buying the food anywhere isn't so it's such a given anymore, right?
No, it's not. It's getting smaller and smaller. Tell me, one of your most challenging days that you walked out and you said, I got it.
They're so diverse. I mean, they can be everything from, the dish machine going down to power outages. And I've been sitting here thinking about and I'm always like going, yes, I remember the last most major thing was when the whole power outage and, the Southfield, Michigan, and everything that we did and how the staff got together in terms of getting everything cleaned up that night after it went out, trying to make sure that if the next morning it came back on, because no one had any idea when it was going to start, and how everyone got together and came into work even. It was wonderful to see my staff being so proactive and being there for us. I went through our insurance stuff to find out what we were handled for, how many hours we had to be out before we would get paid. I was trying to find the fine lines of what we and we the rider that was on it. That was important. I'm an attention to detail person, so reading the contract was what my job was.
Okay.
And I felt great. I found it. We are covered. I was so pleased.
One thing I've noticed between the two of you that is fascinating to me, you're in the kitchen and around food all the time, and you both are in great shape. How do you do that? Because I know both of your food is very good. It's not like you have, I don't want to eat that. Your food is excellent. So how do you do that?
I'm disciplined. I'm very disciplined.
I'm not.
Yeah. I work out.
Okay.
And I work out often, and I usually don't have meals. I usually start eating from the second I hit the door and don't stop until, and it's just picking all day these little bits. If I sat down and ate meals too, I'm sure I would be twice my size.
Okay.
And then if I make up my mind to not have any sweets for a while, I can do it. I can just walk away from it. So I guess I am disciplined.
Between people that do pastries, then
No, because I cook more than I make. Yes,
Because wow, that
I can do it.
I used to work out a lot, and I love it. And I got a little ill for a few years, and I never got back into it. And I love working out. I mean, I think the restaurant business, a lot of people are very compulsive, very addictive personalities. So when you do put your mind to something, be it food or then you can. I love working out, and I'm hoping to get back into that. My husband is tall and thin and can eat anything, and I have to look at him and say, you can't be short. Jack Spratt and his wife. I mean, we can't be that way. And so I work very hard at maintaining what is above what I want to be at this point in my life.
Quick question, your favorite meal?
My favorite meal. Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't think I could pick. Honest
Favorite
to God.
dessert?
I have a favorite dessert.
Okay.
It's my 10-year birthday cake. Every decade I make this cake. It's the only time I make it. And I'm 51, so at my 50th, I made it for my 50th.
Missed it.
My neighbor is the same age as me, and he always says the year before, are we making that cake for our birthdays? So it's a domed shake cake, flourless chocolate cake, filled with my favorite ice creams. And then I invert, it's made in a bowl, and I invert it and pour melted chocolate over it.
Oh, wow.
And after I serve it to company, there's always too much left. I eat it for a week afterwards. That's my favorite dessert.
Sounds one. Your favorite meal or dessert?
When you say meal, you're not talking about one experience. You're talking about an item that
Yes.
I love sushi.
Sushi.
Right now, though, I love Vietnamese food is my favorite food. I mean, so I go through Picasso. I had my curried phase. Now I'm in my Vietnamese phase.
So does it spill over into what
Yes,
you're making?
yes. Oh yeah, we've got
So we
Vietnamese
know
hot
if we come
pots.
here for the special, we know what face is
There's going to be a Vietnamese hot pot on the probably, except that right now it's St. Patty's Day, and we've got our trend that way. And you said dessert. Veuve Clicquot and chocolate.
Oh. We're going to take a break. Hungry break, and we'll be right back.
If you have diabetes, you know you have an increased risk of kidney disease, blindness, and amputations. But did you know that 2 out of 3 people with diabetes die from heart disease or stroke? Fortunately, you can reduce your risk of heart disease and stroke by lowering your blood sugar, blood pressure, and cholesterol. If you have diabetes, ask your doctor to tell you more about the link between diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Call us.
What does being involved really mean? Is it making grilled cheese sandwiches for a sleepover? Staying for the curtain call at the talent show? Or learning the names of their favorite bands? Believe it or not, right now, there are parents just like you out there talking about things like this. From school to home, from friends to futures. And we'd like you to be a part of it. National PTA, every child, one voice.
Welcome back. We're live at Sweet Lorraine. Joining me is Lorraine from Sweet Lorraine and Bonnie from Bonnie Patisserie. We're balancing career and personal lives here. Not only do you have a career, you have a business as well, which is an additional responsibility. You tell me you're in the grocery store. You can't go in the grocery store without thinking you're dreaming about the job. You're both married. Your husband is your partner. You're married and have children in school. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about having the business, raising your children, being creative, all those things, being a woman, having those traditional expectations of mom, wife.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
I've been lucky through the years. I have 2 children. My son is 21, and he's just about to finish at Michigan in filmmaking. He's very creative as well. And my daughter is,
Congratulations.
thank you, in 11th grade, and she's also visually creative with photography and art. So the apple doesn't fall far from the
Yes.
tree. They aren't making food necessarily right now. But I've been lucky because I haven't had, I think it's harder in the restaurant business. That I think it's more demanding than what I have every day. And I've really put my family first, and have just managed it. I make my schedule so that my staff can always count on me being at the store from certain times to certain days. And when I needed to shorten my time, I did, for my children. And it's just worked out really well. The creative part, something really important that I've done is I teach cooking classes at my store. About 8 months out of the year. And it forces me to make up new recipes with a deadline. So that by a certain day, I have to have this many recipes, creative, and I get to see an instant response from my students if they liked it or not. And then as the recipe becomes, if they like it a lot, then we put it into the catering menu. So it works out really well. So
Let's talk about working with your spouse. A lot of people say that's one of the most challenging positions you can be in.
It was at first. I mean, my husband and I are real close, but I think the first 2 years that we actually worked in a tiny little office together, we nearly killed each other, and there was different rules that we were playing by that. In some regards, I tell people he had come out of working in an experimental laboratory. He was an engineer, physics engineer. I mean, so far away from being a restaurateur, but he saw the rules that professional people played by. And when we got to work with each other, he inflicted those rules onto me without letting me know what the rules were. So I started to find that I was in a world that I didn't understand. For 2 years, I had been running our first business without him. He had the job so that we could have money. And then he came on board, and it was really hard. The good thing is that my domain was the kitchen and his was the dining room. So those were divided, and there was an imaginary lines of don't step on my toes.
Okay.
Now things have changed. I used to tease people that the reason we started opening up more restaurants was so that Gary and I could get farther apart from each other. And that means we had more time. Once, you make systems work for yourself, we did find that we had more time and more energies to put into other things. For me, it became other businesses instead of a family. I, for some reason, always my whole life wanted to be a businesswoman. I never even saw anything other than that in my life. I mean, it goes way back, to, I think, 5th grade. People talked about what they wanted to do when they got out of high school, and I said, college, a career. I don't know why. And my family's from England originally, and I didn't have a historical presence of going away to college and all of that, but just that's what I wanted to do.
What's the best advice you've ever received in making you who you are? And would you share that with us?
best advice.
Yes.
I am stumped.
My husband, one time I was asked to do a TV show, and they were going to have a nutritionist on. And I was going through my books about fat contents and this and that. And my husband said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I just want to know, about the, because we use canola oil here when we're cooking. We don't use clarified butter. And I want to get these things." He says, "Lorraine, that's why they have a nutritionist on. That's her thing. Your thing is cooking. Talk about what you know." And to this day, when I get nervous, I go, "Why am I nervous? All I have to do is talk about what I know." And that really has helped me in every regard, my staff.
Yes.
And when I talk to guests, I talk about what I know. And that really has helped me.
That's terrific advice. I like her advice.
You haven't thought of one yet?
I honestly cannot think of.
What's the best advice you've ever given anyone that came to you talking about the business? What advice do you?
A lot of people do come to me. Being in a public place, a lot of customers of mine might have a teenage child or young adult who wants to get in the business. And I think that food business is, it all looks rosy on the outside. You know, they see the maitre d' and greeting, working the room, and it just seems so much fun. And I think that's why there's so much failure in the restaurant business, because people don't get what it really is. And I think the best advice for somebody trying to see, I think they should work in the business before they make any life choices about the schooling or a commitment. This is what I'm going to do for my life. Try it out, test the water, get a couple of different experiences. Pick a good operator instead of, somebody who isn't a good operator, someone who makes a good product and runs a good ship before, so you get a really good feel for what you're going to get into, because it is physically hard. And I think that's why a lot of women aren't drawn to it. And I think it is hard to juggle with a family, especially if you work in a restaurant and it's a dinner place. How do you raise a family when you're gone every day from 3 o'clock till midnight? So yeah, try it out. Make sure this is really what you want, because it does take a lot.
On a personal level, for the woman, and you kind of tap into that, for the woman that's looking at this career and seeing you both smiling, healthy, and families and everything, and really having this tenure in the business, work in the business, get to know it before you embrace it totally so you have a good feel of it, what would be your advice?
I'm sorry. What was my advice about?
To a young woman
Okay.
wanting to go into the restaurant business, what would you tell her to be successful?
I think going along with what Bonnie was saying, I would say definitely get experience, and be careful what you wish for, because you may get it. I think that it's people think that they think it's glamorous.
I think it's glamorous.
And
Clearly.
I can tell them about, if you wear makeup, full makeup in the kitchen, your face will break out, and it will melt, and you will feel, and you don't feel feminine.
How many manicures have you had in 20 years?
Oh,
2. I think we got married.
I was driving here.
And I
That's
took
so
my
funny.
polish off the next day.
If Brenda had asked me what I would love to do for myself, it would be like, and it's such a weird thing. I was thinking, I think a manicure would be really a cool thing, because it's such a feminine thing.
Yeah.
I know that men get them now, but it used to be just, only women. It's just such a feminine thing, and because I have to remind myself that I'm a female sometimes, because you're lugging and you're picking up things, and if you have any sense that you want to be pretty and cute and stuff, then restaurant business is not.
This is not it.
No, it's not going to be it.
And I might interject that the women who work for me are on the same page with what we're talking about. They know what they're in for, and you would never catch them in a job having to wear hose and high heels and makeup every day, because that's not really who they are. So it's the chicken or the egg. I think you have to be that sort of person before you approach this business.
Well, I want to tell both of you you're naturally beautiful, so you're in the business, so you don't need a lot of makeup and things. So that worked out great. You
Very
picked the right
good.
business.
She's such a good politician.
We're going to wrap up today, and this has been wonderful talking to the two of you. And I want to say, from the city of Southfield, thank you for being here. You're expanding. I just sent you a note and had visited your restaurant downtown.
Thank you.
Detroit.
Thanks.
And one thing that really impressed me was that I was looking for you that day. I said, is Lorraine in? She said, no, she's on vacation and she should be back. And they knew where you were going. And they said, it's really good she got away. I was like, wow, our staff really likes her. That's and you mentioned, Bonnie, how your staff is real important to you, and you've had them for such a long period.
Yes.
That's a wonderful statement of your leadership. And I want to say thank you for being in the city of Southfield. Thank you for doing what you do. And I want to wrap up with a quote that was just shared with me today. Women are like a tea bag. They don't know how strong they are until they get into hot water. Thank you for joining me today on Today's Woman.